Hey everyone, this is the start of a new Quasimorph series, and the plan was actually to do a slightly more edited videos for the, I guess, season. Yeah, and this would have been the first one, and this is an edited video, but it's not edited the way I had planned on doing it, because what happened is that my audio was kind of messed up. I think I just positioned my mic a little weirdly, so hopefully that's fixed. And yeah, this will just kind of be more of a post-commentary sort of thing. But yeah, new Unfair run. This is going to be the 1, 2, 3. This will be the 4th recorded Unfair run. And if you count the live streamed Unfair run, this will be the 5th one I've started. So a lot of failure happening on this channel. Not ashamed to admit it, but I'm not letting this difficulty break me. So here we are. I'm just looking over my starting stuff. I got a honestly pretty decent starting guns. I feel like I normally don't start with anything particularly noteworthy. I don't mind up using either of them, but it's nice to have them in the back pocket. The Liberator's M is just a solid pistol. The Course VKT is nice. Okay, so now you see me looking at the factions, or not the factions, the classes. I got Spaceborne Ghosts and Eclipse Blades. I don't think Eclipse Blades is particularly useful on Unfair, but I'm never too sad to see Spaceborne Ghosts. They've got a couple decent perks. The main one is probably the improved sprinting accuracy. And then now I'm going to hand over the starting data to Tianming. This is my first time doing it. I believe it was Quasimorph who made this short little tutorial or guide about what faction gives you what items for the data. And Tianming gives you a mind chip, which is obviously pretty huge on Unfair. You also get a really nice set of armor and some decent guns and ammo. So it's a good start. The one thing I do miss from, I think, Civil Resistance is the welding machine. So we don't get to start with crafting anymore. But I think the mind chip is probably worth it. Like, it's not that hard, I think, to get a welding machine if I really need one, because you can get one from Kanan Terminal on Phobos. You can see me hovering over it, but right now it's contested by Tianming Corward MG. But yeah, so you get a mind chip, you get nice armor, you get a decent pistol, which it looks like an SMG, but it's a pistol, the Type 77. And it's okay, but the real juice comes from the full stack of 9mm bursting ammo you get from Tianming. That ammo, that rips. It totally shreds early game enemies, especially at a distance. At distances that your other guns can't reach, because the explosive damage is not affected by damage drop-off. The other gun is the Longhu, which, despite its super slick appearance, is probably one of the worst shotguns in the game. But shotguns are shotguns. Like, you're always happy to use them early game. And hopefully I get to find out how good they are mid-game in this campaign, because I've never actually gotten there. And I'm going with Oberon Lucas. That's one of my 2 clones. Victoria Boudica has pretty nice stats and a decent perk, but she's just so squishy. And Oberon Lucas has one of the, I think, better perks in the game, which is just an extra weapon slot. And his stats, I think, are nothing to sneeze at either. So I was perfectly happy bringing him into this inaugural mission. There's 3 floors on this mission, so it's going to be a bit of a long one. And yeah, that's what we're working with. So this is a elimination against Realware, working for French Comte, who can provide us a mind chip. That's one of the main reasons I picked this mission, even though I believe the power concentration was quite high for what I normally do early on. But it was also the first mission, so like if I lost this mission, I would just have restarted the campaign probably. Although I've never actually done that. I think I've always had a successful first mission. I'm just sneaking through, just trying to see if there's anything on the other side of the wall. There isn't. I see some explosive barrels, which gives me pause, as always, but no enemies means it's probably pretty safe to walk up to them and empty them. Once again, just checking if enemies are behind the wall, but there aren't. Sneak is useful for that. Now I see there are enemies to the west, but again, those are behind a wall that I don't think can reach me. And at this point, I think I find myself at a crossroad, and I think I've learned at this point that crossroads should not be trusted. So what I do is I set up an ambush. I shoot, I guess, my shotgun. I don't want to waste the 9mm bursting for this. I'm going to shoot my shotgun at this wall over here to try to lure some enemies into an ambush. And I normally don't like doing this if there's a chance of enemies coming from behind me to flank, but with the map layout, the only thing behind me is my ship, so this is pretty safe. At least that's my evaluation of the situation. I know there's like not all of it is explored, but I'm pretty sure with the room layout, there's no enemies there. Yeah, so I shoot that wall, enemies should start coming. I do this a little wrong. I should have sprinted so I could actually dip into cover after this shot. And I get shot at. Luckily he didn't hit, even though he had a pretty good chance of hitting with that slug, and it could have done some pretty serious damage. So don't do that as carelessly as I did. Right now I'm like, yeah, and now I'm in kind of stuck because he has 3 AP, so I kind of want him to die this turn, especially because if he dies this turn, I'm pretty sure he won't call any more enemies. Alert enemies are I have a chance, or it might be guaranteed to just call more reinforcements. Luckily I kill him, so I think I'm safe. He did see me like a turn earlier, so he might have called for reinforcements the turn he saw me. I'm not 100% sure how that works. But yeah, now I'm thinking, okay, so enemies might be on their way. They definitely heard the gunshots. I don't know if there's like different sound radiuses for different guns, but if there are, the explosive ammo is sure to be loud enough to aggro more enemies. And sure enough, we've got this guy investigating the bodies and the gunshots and the carnage. Yeah, so I dip back into cover, switch to sprint so I can pop out to blast him with some buckshot. I see another enemy. He gets stunned by the Spaceborne Ghost perk, which is useful. I don't know if it's really... I thought the perk would be more useful than it is, but maybe it's more of like an emergency thing. In this situation, it didn't really amount to much. Like it didn't... Like this... Without being stunned, this enemy would be like 2 spaces closer, which wouldn't have changed anything, I don't think. Now I'm just taking a look at the enemy's armaments and defenses, and even if I didn't, I'd probably just blast him with the long hoo. Yes, I'm just doing the sprint, dip back in what is this, like, what is this strat called? I don't know. Stance dancing, maybe? That doesn't sound right, but I'm gonna go with it. I'll just call it dancing. I'm dancing in and out of cover. So use 1 AP to step out, use a 2nd AP to shoot, and use a 3rd AP to step back into cover, break line of sight, so enemies can't actually shoot you. Obviously not that useful against melee enemies, but it's still worth dipping back into cover in case an enemy with a ranged weapon shows up. Enemies on Unfair have an extra point of AP, so it's pretty likely that an enemy will be able to see you and shoot the same turn. Like all these enemies would normally have 1 AP or 2 AP, but they have 2 and 3 AP because of Unfair. That's probably the one defining feature of Unfair. I feel like that and the fact that you have a limited number of clones. It really changes how the game feels. Yeah, so at this point I've killed enough enemies and I'm thinking, okay, we're good on there's no more enemies, which you'll see very shortly was very naive. I do that a lot. I don't know why. I really should just be like what I should do, I think, is just wait a few turns and then shoot another shot to try to lure any nearby enemies. And then, if no one shows up, I'll start looting. I also make a mistake here that'll come back to bite me in a few turns, I think. Spoiler alert, more enemies show up. But I'm happy to find this AZ-94. It does piercing damage and has decent range, so it means that I don't have to rely on my 9mm bursting to shoot enemies that are like 5-6 spaces away. The .42 ammo much less valuable than the bursting. Like realistically, I'd like to save the bursting ammo for like clumped up enemies that are a fair distance away. Yeah, so you see me walk into an enemy like this. Luckily he doesn't see me. But I'm not really in a position that I'm happy with. So what I should do is back up to the other... Okay, so I do. And then now I can return to the dancing strat. The bodies are really piling up. That's just unfair for you. Yeah, I guess that's the third defining feature of unfair. There are so many enemies. Yeah, this is me realizing that Warcrime does not stun the nearest enemy. It just stuns any enemy, I guess. It would have been nice if it stunned the guy in front of me, but alas. Yeah, because now I can't really step out and shoot, which is not ideal. I just step backwards to put some space between myself and the enemy's weapons. Alright, yeah, now we got more enemies, so we're just gonna continue the dance. I unfortunately don't kill this guy. What I should have done was shoot him again. I did not consider the fact that he'd be able to shoot me this turn, and that really cost me because he lacerated my leg, which means I can no longer dance because you can't sprint with a wounded leg. And things kind of go downhill from here. What I actually should have done was pull the enemies into this chamber that I'm in and use the explosive barrel on them. I had actually considered that earlier, but I didn't put the fuel back in. Like, the fuel was still out when I spotted the first enemy, so it was too late. But I kind of rushed into that first engagement without thinking about what I was doing. Yeah, so here so earlier I looted enemies and I didn't disassemble their gear for parts, like rags, to heal that laceration. So I had to use my bandage, which I didn't really want to use because we're not in combat anymore. Like, what I could have done is back off and heal with the rag and save the bandage for an actual emergency. But we didn't have any rags, and the bandage doesn't even heal the laceration, so I still need rags to heal them, and I don't have any. And at this point, I actually need to push out, kill some enemies, and grab as many rags as I can. I think that's what I do right here. I think I get 3 rags from this guy. Oh, I don't know why I stepped forward. I think that was a mistake. I should have took the rags and then stepped back. Yeah, because this guy right here could totally ruin my day if he doesn't die, because he could move, shoot. Like, that could have killed me. I actually don't even think I realized that while I was playing. Damn. The things you see in post. So here I am. Now I'm considering whether or not I should try shooting with the AZ-94 or the Type 77 with bursting. I shoot with the AZ-94. It doesn't really work out the way I wanted to. I would consider this kind of crisis mode. All right, we can't sprint. We're bleeding, and enemies are still pouring in. Like, these guys, I should have made sure they died. And the AZ-94 is accurate enough, but the thing about bursting is even if you miss, if the bullets impact a wall, they'll still damage the enemies adjacent to the wall, which makes bursting so much more lethal in corridors like this. I'm still here using the AZ-94. I think I switched to the Type 77 here. Nope, I don't. Yeah, this is pretty bad, I would say. Yeah, okay, I remember it. Only just now do I remember that I actually even have the Type 77. Even though I shot it earlier. I was like, oh wait, I should have used the Type 77. But yeah, so now I can burst him. That was a little bit of a risk, because if one of the bullets impacted the guy in front of me, it would have hurt me too. But I didn't get into this position by playing intelligently, let's just say. And I think that does actually happen to me later in the run, but what are you gonna do? Luckily there's food here, so I can start regenerating health. When you're at like, I don't know the exact threshold, but it's like 75% of your calories are filled, you start healing damage over time. So getting that food crate was really nice. I think I used plastic here by accident. I just assumed it was a fracture, but it was a laceration. So that was a little unfortunate. I think I'm just considering my options, whether I should back off or continue the fight. I should back off because I can actually heal now. I have rags to bandage the laceration. But I step forward like an idiot. Again, what I should do is shoot a wall, see if more enemies come, and then if not, then I think I'm clear. I should not be looting right out in the open right now. If an enemy shows up, I'm just exposed. I guess that's one benefit of watching or even editing the video. I get to watch it back and go like, that's a mistake. And I've seen several mistakes that I definitely did not catch during the run while I was playing it. This is kind of fun. Maybe I will edit the rest of the videos like this. But the plan was to experiment with a couple different styles. We'll see. Yeah, so you're looting. I'm definitely going to be skipping through most of the looting. Yeah, so here I am looting and eating. I'm pretty sure there's still more fighting in this corridor. Which is crazy, but again, that's just unfair for you. Okay, yeah, and now I back off to properly treat my wounds. Just doing the good old press spacebar 10 times in a row. And I think some enemies are up ahead. I'm still looting. Oh yeah, I'm grabbing this meat so I can cook it. There's a explosive barrel back there, so easy fire, easy grilling. Yep, there's an enemy over there. I'm like, holy crap, there's more. I pop out, I don't see them, I'm confused. Now I'm thinking maybe they went to the door, they didn't. Yeah, so the way I did, yeah, man, why am I doing it this way? I should just back off into cover, shoot a wall, and they'll just come to me. Okay, yeah, now I do it. Okay, at least I eventually found the right thing to do. Or at least a better strategy than just walking back and forth for really no reason. Like, I don't know what I was hoping to accomplish there. Now finally there's a pile of bodies. I'm surprised there wasn't one earlier. I wasn't actually 100% sure how to handle the situation because the guy didn't see me somehow. And I shoot a wall to see if he comes out. He doesn't. And then I do something pretty stupid here. Although this one was more me. I think if the game worked the way I was thinking in this moment, it would have been okay, but I forgot that he's next to the pile of bodies, so he doesn't get affected by... Like, it's cover for him. I forgot that it wouldn't be cover for me when I took that shot. So now I'm trying to break the pile of bodies because it didn't seem like he was going to step out, but he eventually steps out. I don't know why he waited. Honestly, that makes him smarter than 95% of the enemies I just fought. Made me waste a few calories. But yeah, eventually I think we're finally done with that fight. Okay, so now I'm going to do a little bit more skipping around. Okay, yeah, so here's the second floor. So I check down here, make sure it's a dead end. It is. And then there's only one way forward. Again, knowing that there's nothing behind me is good because it means I can safely pull enemies towards me and know for a fact that they're only being funneled from one direction. I jam this door open to make sure that I always have line of sight on the enemies because I'm going to be taking cover right over there. Yeah, so I shoot. I do that. I should have backed up more before taking that shot because if an enemy immediately came out, they would have seen me standing in the doorway like an idiot. But luckily that didn't happen, so now I'm just popping in under cover just to see if anyone shows up. There we go. I can see they're not particularly well armed. I just use the Type 77 to take a few shots. I missed that shot, but I actually think it hits someone further behind because someone shows up pretty injured in a few turns. Yeah, and here's me just checking to make sure I understand how explosive damage works properly, and I am right about how it works. So explosive damage is like what's the word? It's kind of like a composite damage type where it is only resisted by the weakest of two different resistances. I think it's fire, cut, pierce. I think it's our first double kill with the shotgun of the run. Love those. But yeah, this is just how unfair it goes. You funnel enemies towards you into like a kill zone or kill corridor in this case, and yeah, you go to work. I probably should be using the AZ-94 for those kills. Again, the 9mm bursting is just more valuable than the .42, and the AZ-94 has pretty good range. Here I should use the long hoo. I keep stepping out with only 2 AP. I also need to stop doing that. There's like no downside aside from calories to doing it with 3 AP. Okay, so here I go. I step intentionally one space away here to shoot the Type 77, but because I don't want to have it explode in my face, but it fails because I missed the guy in front of me and they have a knife with 3 AP. What I should have done was shoot him with a shotgun. I don't even know what I was thinking when I took that shot. I think I was like, I'm so smart putting one space between us for the Type 77 9mm bursting, and then I just kind of tunnel visioned on only using that gun when I absolutely should have blasted this guy with the long hoe, because they are real close, and melee weapons are absolutely devastating. Yeah, and now I'm just trying to consider my options. I think I just take the shot with the long hoe, hope they die, and then this guy has a Starlock. He's out of range, optimal range, and Starlock has pretty harsh damage drop off. I take the risk, and it pans out. I think I take 25 damage, don't take a wound, so that went about as well as it could have after my poor decision making. That's kind of a common theme of my playthroughs, I feel like. Now enemies show up in the hallway again, so I'm like, all right, better get ready to fight. I wasn't super happy about taking the fight here, because it's just closer to where the enemies can pop out from the fog of war. But I also didn't want to back up to where I was before, just because it's just such a long corridor that if the enemy popped out while I was making my way back there, I might have taken a wound. In hindsight, I think I should have done that, just because these guys' guns don't have great range. And like I said, yeah, like this guy's just like right at the doorstep, because that door to the north is so close to this one. That was exactly what I feared happening. Yeah, and this fight gets a little ugly. But yeah, look at all these enemies. Yeah, so I'm like, this is what the 9mm bursting is for, but there is an enemy right in front of me. So it's just like, do I take the risk? Like, this is a bad spot. There are enemies with melee weapons right in front of me with high AP. Luckily, the 9mm bursting bails me out, but it does damage my arm. It gives me a wound. Luckily, it's just my arm, so I can still sprint. And with the wound, I'm like, all right, I should retreat. Yeah, I got this blast injury. That one guy took a 9mm bursting to the face, and which means that I also took 9mm bursting to the face. Yeah, so I'm just gonna back up. I'm hoping, honestly, I think I rushed this to retreat. I didn't put that much thought in it. I do think it was correct. No. With melee weapons, enemies, actually I think this is wrong. But it didn't matter. Nothing else shows up, and I spend a lot of time trying to treat this wound. It took so many attempts that I actually was beginning to think that maybe I had misunderstood how composite damage worked. But after I think legitimately 10 rags and plastics, it finally heals. I'm gonna spare you guys having to sit through that. Yeah, we get fully infected and the infection heals before we treat the wound properly. It took so long. Yeah, look. Oh no, it was the same time, but that took so long. Yeah, and then the infection goes away. That was crazy. But I think that's it for that corridor. I'm gonna skip ahead. Oh yeah, an enemy. Right, yeah, an enemy actually went all the way to the elevator and they caught me off guard. Yeah, look at that. Look at that genius. That is the smartest Marine in Tarkov. Not Tarkov. Oh my god. The smartest Marine in Quasimorph. He thought he was extract camping me, but luckily there's a third floor. It would be crazy if enemies extract camped you. Oh my god, look at this absolute massacre. It's a trail of death and blood. It's just unfair for you. I keep saying that, but it's true. Floor 3. So the objective is quite close. I think I forget that it's an enemy that I need to kill, and I'm like, oh, I can go into that room and pick up the PCPU. But first things first, I dump all my useless items weighing me down into the shelf so I can come back for it later. And then I start exploring and immediately find myself confronted with another corridor. So you guys know the drill. I jam open the door and I get ready to funnel the enemies towards me. Unfortunately, the spot where I want to stand is blocked off, so I try to break the shelf. I was worried that this would make sound and draw and like preemptively aggro enemies towards me. Luckily, that wasn't the case. I still don't know if it just didn't make any sound at all, or like it just has a small sound radius. Also, how crazy that I'm just ripping apart a shelf with my bare hands. These Quasimorph PMCs are built different. But yeah, now I've got my spot ready, and I get started. Yeah, shoot the shot. Someone immediately appears. So I also messed that up. I used my last AP to shoot. Don't do that. Luckily, he did not spot me. And then I step out without sprinting like an idiot. But we're good. Now we're in business. Luckily, I didn't get punished. Never punished. And here's the target. I don't realize it's the target at first. So when I see his stats, I'm like, holy crap, this guy's invincible. Like he survived a full burst of 9mm bursting, and he's got a crash. So hopefully this kills him, I'm thinking, and it does. I couldn't use the 9mm bursting because I was adjacent to him, and that would have blown up in my face like it did before. And now I can use the 9mm bursting the way I want to. Like, that was perfect. And then I try a high dispersal shot with the shotgun, and that dispersal scatter was so much more dramatic than I was expecting it to be. And yeah, that's pretty much the video. Normally I press on to grab more loot. I decide not to risk it here. It's the first mission, and I'm already pretty looted up. Like, I loot these guys, obviously. I am a little bit greedy, but like, I figure if anyone showed up, they would have showed up already. Although again, I should have double checked and shot a wall or something, but I'm not smart enough. Hopefully I'll be smart enough in the future. But yeah, I grab this loot and then I just get out after checking the boss room. You can see me thinking about it. Should I keep going? But yeah, that's I'm just gonna skip ahead to the mission rewards. Yeah, we get a mine chip. That was basically perfect. Successful mission with a mine chip. Got some good gear. And this means we actually have 4 PMCs. I think for the first time ever in any of my recorded or live streamed unfair playthroughs. So that's a new benchmark for the series. Can't wait to see all the silly ways I throw away their lives. But yeah, that about wraps that up. Hope you guys enjoy this different format for the video. But yeah, we'll catch you in the next one.